the most local news. This is News 4 at 6:30.
Right now on News 4 at 6:30, wild winds are pushing chunks of ice across Lake Erie. Tonight, the ice boom is still intact. The wind caused widespread damage, some flooding, and power outages in our area. This is a look at current outages right now for NYSEG National Grid. You can see there are just more than 20,000 NYSEG customers without power and more than 12,000 National Grid customers without power. As some people deal with power problems, others are now left cleaning up a massive mess from the storm. These are just some of the dozens of reported photos we've received showing the damage you're seeing in your neighborhood. You can see trees that fell on homes and in the middle of busy roads. Good evening, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. I'm Christy Kern. A high wind warning and flash flood watch are still in effect right now. We have team coverage as we track the latest conditions. We begin with Chief Meteorologist Todd Santos. Todd, how much longer can we expect to see this strong wind tonight?
Well, we'll have winds that some would view as strong right past midnight and into early tomorrow morning. But I will say this, the gust potential backs off to around 40 miles per hour once we hit, say, 10, 11 o'clock tonight, and then around 30 miles per hour by, say, the early morning hours tomorrow. So we'll slowly see these numbers ticking downward. I'm starting off with a camera that may just be white. Yeah, I was waiting for this to clear up. There is snow working its way across the eastern reaches of Lake Erie, and I think it just got to the camera. This is the camera that looks down at the ice boom that, as far as we can tell, is still intact. It's just we've been blowing ice either over or under it with these strong wind gusts today. These are the gusts within the last hour. We're starting to see this back off some, but I mean, you see Albion at 53, 52 in Rochester. Don't let your guard down just yet. I mean, we still have issues with, these gusts could still be enough to take down some tree limbs, even some that were weakened today. The gust forecast, this kind of graphically shows what I just said about the wind gust potential dropping down steadily as we hit midnight. There's 2 o'clock in the morning. Now you see some 30s and 20s, and then you hit 6, 7, 8 in the morning, and it shouldn't be much of an issue beyond that. But still, leading up to 8 p.m., we still have the high wind warning in place. I don't expect them to extend this, but the Weather Service has this in place right now, and I think it's still a great call to have it in place because we still have some of these bigger gusts. Flash flood watch, this was mainly for the upper Niagara River, and it goes until 8 p.m. I'm talking about it in the past tense because we've already seen a whole lot of ice running down the river and haven't had any issues as far as flooding is concerned or any of that ice backing up. So hopefully these chunks were small enough that they'll just flow over the falls, and it'll help decrease the ice amount in Lake Erie. I mean, as of yesterday, we still had about 7.5% ice coverage. This should at least take that down some. Satellite radar, you see the snow. We have had some good bursts of snow coming down at a clip from time to time. You're finding that especially across the southern tier, but even, I suspect, in that camera for downtown Buffalo looking out toward the ice boom. So keep in mind, we will find slick spots overnight tonight. I'll talk more about the snowfall coverage in just a bit in my next segment. 33 right now in Buffalo, but much cooler temperatures already to the south, and all of us are heading into the 20s. So hopefully, Christie, power crews can get that power on quickly for the 30,000 plus without it right now.
Absolutely. Todd, thank you. The wind is causing a lot of damage from downed trees to power lines. Crews have been busy all day trying to clean up the mess and restore power. Video from Hamburg shows massive piles of trees laying in the road. One home was actually hit by a large tree. And in Buffalo, several cars were hit when a large tree came crashing down in front of the Hyatt on North Pearl Street. We talked to the owner of that white car. She says she usually eats lunch in her car.
I was lucky because I usually eat lunch later, so I'm just at work right now, and that's where this happened. And so, yeah, usually I do eat lunch in my car, so I'm glad I wasn't at lunch yet because that would have been a real bummer. It's pretty wild, though, that's for sure. It's crushed.
The wind caused a tractor trailer to flip this morning. It happened on the 90 ramp just before merging onto the 290. We're told first responders had to remove the driver with the jaws of life. Thankfully, he is not seriously hurt. 2 other semis also flipped today. One happened this morning at Campbell Road in North Tonawanda. The other happened near Darien Lake. The wind is also creating a seiche on Lake Erie. News 4's Kelsey Anderson is taking a closer look. She continues our team coverage live on Route 5 in Hamburg. Kelsey.
Yeah, good evening. Behind me here, Lake Erie, you can see behind me here, lots of ice blocking this area. I'm on Route 5 in Hamburg, and Several hours earlier, there were lots of waves in this area crashing against this wall here and coming up even onto the road. So this flooding, this ice here going over that wall, what is that due to? That's due to this seiche. All the wind we've had is pushing west to east and is literally pushing the water on Lake Erie higher in Buffalo. News 4 meteorologist Kaylee Wendt explains this a little bit more.
A lot of people have seen seiche before, they just don't know that it's called that. So it happens in a small glass of water. In a bathtub, you get a little bit of a movement and the water kind of goes up and then goes down and moves from side to side. And that's exactly what we're seeing.
So right now, Lake Erie is about 3.5 feet higher than normal, and it's kind of like a seesaw. When the water is high here, it's low on the other side of the lake. So all the way in Toledo, Ohio, that's on the western edge of Lake Erie, they're experiencing lower than normal water levels. Now, Todd mentioned that ice boom earlier. This seiche is causing the ice to go over that ice boom, but I did talk to the New York Power Authority. They're in charge of that ice boom, and they say all is well. The boom has not broken at all, and they say that it's working as normal, so they are not worried about that. Back to you.
Kelsey, thank you. And stay with News 4 for any weather updates tonight. Remember, you can also get new weather alerts by downloading our Forewarn weather app. You can also log onto our website, WIVB.com. A teenager accused of dropping a garbage can on a tourist from a parking garage ramp in Niagara Falls has been granted youth offender status. The teenager was in court today. We're asked not to use his name. He pleaded guilty to reckless endangerment. Police say he was on an upper floor last August when he and another teen dropped a 3.5-foot plastic trash can. It hit a 50-year-old woman below. She fractured her collarbone and suffered a head injury. The teen will be back in court in July. A man accused of ripping off a Livingston County woman is now paying literally for the construction job he never finished. News 4's Al Vaughters joins us live in the studio with this call for action success story. Al.
Well, Christy, Call for Action has been following customer complaints against Joseph Ferranti for about 4 years now. Complaints about his home improvement business. He's covered a lot of ground in that time, and according to his dissatisfied customers, he still does. You'll likely recall contractor Joseph Ferranti's quick exit from the town court center in Lancaster last month after his probation hearing was adjourned. A number of his customers have accused Ferranti, who has given up his Sunbelt Living business, of failing to deliver on the home improvement services they paid for. Linda Tabor accused Ferranti of taking $3,200 from her to replace a sliding patio door last year, and now a year later she still has no door. But now Linda does have a check from Ferranti for $3,200, and she's pleased about getting her money back.
I am feeling just so happy that I don't have to worry and wonder if I'm ever going to get any answer and what he did, or if he's just going to get away with it. And the more people I talked to, the more it made me wonder.
Well, Linda Tabor lives in the Livingston County town of Nunde, but Ferranti's probation stems from customer complaints in the town of Clarendon. She can use that money now to actually get a new door. Our first reports on Ferranti were back in 2014 when he owned the Sunbelt Living business, and the customers were in the Niagara County village of Middleport. Al Vaughters, News 4.
Al, thank you. The Allegheny County Office for the Aging is making a desperate plea to the community tonight. The office is in dire need of Meals on Wheels volunteers, especially in the town of Almond. Right now, there are only 2 volunteers there. There are less than 100 in the entire county. If you're interested in volunteering, you're asked to call 585-268-9390 and ask for Karen. A group of Buffalo parents, teachers, and advocates are encouraging others to say yes to the test. They're in favor of standardized testing in New York. Advocates say the test ensures every child gets the education they need. Buffalo parent Patricia Elliott Patton didn't let her daughter take the test in the past. She says she changed her mind when she realized what her daughter's education level really was.
I needed to know where she was. When I found that she was a 7th grade student reading on a 3rd grade level because somebody wasn't doing something in between that they needed to do, I realized that there's no way I can ever have this happen to my child again.
English, language arts, and math testing begin next week for 3rd through 8th graders. Still to come on News 4 at 6:30, the West Seneca Children's Psych Center is staying put. Advocates and Erie County Clerk Mickey Kearns joins me live on set next to explain why the governor changed his mind. And remembering one of the world's most influential men, how people across the country and in Buffalo are honoring Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
And I'm watching a lot of separate things today, including this wildly unpopular snow that we're finding across the area. A couple separate windows before the weekend. We'll have the latest on what you can expect coming up next here, News 4 at 6:30.